All eyes were on this budget because where is the money going to come from as far as the 5 guarantees the Congress gave? That was the question that was on everyone's mind, which is why it was very, very important to note what exactly the levies, the taxes that have been increased, if any additional taxes have been put forth, all of that was looked into. Reactions are coming in thick and fast as far as this particular budget goes. Let's listen in to the first political reaction that's coming in, and that's coming in from a former Chief Minister of the state. H.D. Kumaraswamy now reacting to the announcements that have come to the fore from this particular budget in Siddaramaya's speech. H.D. Kumaraswamy going on to say there is no extraordinary development-oriented plan as such. There are lots of promises, lots of figures that have been going out, but where is the vision is what HDK has now come out and asked.
In this budget book, there is no extraordinary development-oriented, action-oriented issue is not there. All the fault he wanted to show it to central government and previous government. He criticized about previous government mismanagement. This is the main highlight of the today's presentation of the budget.
Harish Upadhyay, my colleague, joining us, getting us more details of what exactly was presented in this budget. Now, politics aside, Harish, first do take our viewers through what exactly the key announcements are, because the impetus was going to be on where this money is going to come from, what kind of taxes are going to be levied as far as the common man goes. It shouldn't be that the guarantees that the Congress made pre-elections come at the cost of the taxpayer post-elections.
Well, at least in certain cases, that seems to be the case. Look at where the money is coming from. There's a 20% increase on Indian-made liquor, around 10% increase on beer. You also have motor vehicle tax increase, but the budget doesn't talk about the kind of magnitude of the increase or which sections of motor vehicle tax will be increased. That is likely to be decided later. Apart from that, you also have the guidance value increase for all immovable properties in Karnataka, which means your registration process for every property that gets registered becomes all the more costlier. The government is saying that since 2019, the guidance value hasn't been changed. So that's the reason we are revising it, and it's not to fund these guarantees. But it's very clear that a significant chunk of this budget money is going for revision or for fulfilling these 5 guarantees of the government. And one key point here, remember, they're still not giving out figures on how much they believe will a guarantee like Yuva Nidhi will cost. That is likely to happen much later in the second half of this year, and which could mean that this could go above the 60,000 mark. So there are still calculations to be made. You will see supplementary budget allocations being made to some of these guarantees of the Congress party. Apart from that, certain questions raised on appeasement by the Congress party. The BJP is saying whether it's announcement of a Christian Development Board with the initial corpus of around 100 crore rupees, or talking about setting up a new education policy for the state. The government is asking, is the Congress government here? The BJP is asking, is the Congress government here once again in appeasement mode ahead of the Lok Sabha election? Why is it that now the Congress government is talking about safeguarding or protecting Waqf properties? Can't the Waqf board do it? Does the government need to give a separate allocation for it? All these questions being raised. And one significant factor here is in Karnataka, we traditionally do not see the budget speech being used to hit out at the opposition. But that has happened in this case with at multiple points, Siddaramaya's budget speech pointing out how Bommai's budget earlier in the year had sanctioned more than what the fiscal limits of the state finances had allowed.
Yes, political pot shots coming to the fore as far as that budget speech was going. We had the Chief Minister, the Finance Minister also of the state, Siddaramaiah, come out and give details of where exactly these allocations are going to be made. It's a copy-paste budget is what the JDS had to say, what a former Chief Minister had to say. But listen in to what the current Deputy Chief Minister, D.K. Shivkumar, has to say about this entire budget allocation.
ಪ್ರಜಾಪ್ರಭುತ್ವದ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಗೆ ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಅವಮಾನ. ಸುಮಾರು 7 ಲಕ್ಷ ಅಂತರದಿಂದ ಗೆದ್ದಂತ ಒಬ್ಬ ಸಂಸತ್ ಸದಸ್ಯರಿಗೆ
Well, this is
ಇಡೀ
DK
ತಮ್ಮ
Shiv Kumar
ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ
talking
ತನ್ನ
about
ಕುಟುಂಬ
the court order about
ಗಾಂಧಿಯವರ
Rahul Gandhi's
ಕುಟುಂಬ
case. He's saying somebody
ಎಲ್ಲ
who's won with a
ಸ್ಥಾನಮಾನಗಳನ್ನ
majority
ತ್ಯಾಗ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದನ್ನ
like
ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ
7 lakh votes.
ಗಮನಿಸಿದ್ದೇವೆ.
This is injustice being done to him.
ನಮ್ಮ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ರಾಜಕೀಯ ಹೇಳಿ ಬಿಜೆಪಿಯವರು ಒಂದು ಕುತಂತ್ರವನ್ನು ನಡೆಸಿ ಅವರ ಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ಕೇಸ್ ಹಾಕಿ
This was a conspiracy by the BJP for a statement or a speech given by Rahul Gandhi in Karnataka.
ಆದರೆ
I believe that the court would give us justice. I don't want to comment much about this order of the court, but there is a larger
ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಅರ್ಥ
conspiracy.
ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ರಾಹುಲ್ ಗಾಂಧಿಯವರು ಈ ದೇಶದ ಪ್ರಧಾನಮಂತ್ರಿ ಆಗಬಹುದಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಅವರು ಒಪ್ಪಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಶ್ರೀಮತಿ
That was the Deputy Chief Minister of the state of Karnataka going on to talk about the politics surrounding the budget that was announced today. But listen in to what the Congress has to say. They say that this is a progressive budget. There's absolutely no reason why anybody from the JDS or the BJP should be punching holes in it.
See, it is a reappropriating budget. The corruption, 40% commission, and destruction of economy. When we left the government, the total loan on the state government was 2,50,000 crore. And we have taken back the government. The total loan is 5,61,000 crore. So BJP has borrowed 3 lakh crore to give administration in the state for 4 years. So that is what we are trying to understand. How do we address that? And still we have managed, the Chief Minister Mr. Siddaramaiah has managed to give a progressive budget.
Now, the BJP is not impressed as far as this budget goes or as far as the Congress's claims go, because the BJP now going on to say that the rift between DK Shiv Kumar and Siddaramaiah is visible even in this budget. Listen in to what BJP MLA B.Y. Vijendra had to say.
No money has been spared for irrigation. And about Bangalore development also, the Honorable Chief Minister has given a lengthy speech, but no proper plan for Bangalore also. Probably Chief Minister Siddaramaiah ji is trying to take sweet revenge against his colleague DK Shiv Kumar ji. That the money has been spared for irrigation and also for Bangalore development.
Harish continues to be with me on this broadcast. And Harish, it's interesting the kind of commentary that we're seeing as far as this budget speech goes, because it's not just the allocation that has raised objections. We're now seeing the BJP come out and even take pot shots at the rift that we saw between DK Shiv Kumar and Siddaramaiah pre-elections.
Well, absolutely. Every budget, at least for the last decade or so that we've seen, has a separate section for Bengaluru development or BBMP. But that's not the case in this budget speech of Siddaramaiah. All the development works listed for Bengaluru comes under urban development section. So it's very clear from the beginning what's the kind of focus that Siddaramaiah wants to give either to the Bengaluru development portfolio that DK Shiv Kumar has. In fact, over the last few weeks, we've seen DK Shiv Kumar aggressively batting for a tunnel road project for Bengaluru. That doesn't find a mention. No significant project for Bengaluru except for a flyover costing around 200 crore rupees connecting the city to the Sarveshwaraya terminal here. And there are announcements of white topping of roads, none of them significant as such. And perhaps that's why the BJP is saying, well, both the departments, the water resources and the Bengaluru Development Department held by DK Shiv Kumar has been shortchanged. And it's a continuation of the shadow fight between the Chief Minister and the Deputy Chief Minister.
The shadow fight perhaps pouring on even as far as the budget of the state goes. That's what the allegation of the BJP is. Do stay on with me. Ashok Gowda of the BJP, in fact, joining us on this broadcast. Thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. How do you look at the kind of allocations that have been made in this budget, especially as far as the allocation for protecting of Waqf property goes?
See, Karnataka as an historical monument, which dates back at least around 3,000 to 4,000 years back, or at least there are so many monuments. There are 100 plus monuments which dates back 1,000 years. They have not thought about protecting them and encouraging them and making them to protect or grow them and make it as a tourist spot. But whereas for Waqf board, the special mention has been mentioned and there is a fund allocation. If they want to give, let them give. What happens to this tourism? Biodiversity tourism, which was supposed to be promoted, they've cancelled the board itself today. Budget for the tourism sector has been reduced. So what is the agenda behind the budget of Siddaramaiah? Just an appeasement politics? Is the budget agenda of Siddaramaiah? Whereas Bangalore, which attracts so many people across years and years, and in the whatever BBMP budget has been reduced. Our government had given 6,800 crores. They have reduced to 3,850 crores. So how do you develop Bangalore, brand Bangalore? And what they are saying 45,000 crores. 45,000 crores is coming. 31,000 crores is allotted by the central government for metro as well as to the suburban rail. So what is the contribution of the state governments? What they have done is 15,000 crores they say they have allocated. And in that, KUIDFC. How does a KUIDFC have a stake in Bangalore city? And Karnataka urban and water supply development, and including the BESCOM subsidies, what they are giving for 200 is been given as a Bangalore project for this thing. Just to show the numbers, you are trying to fool the people of Karnataka.
Sure, so you're saying that there is a lot of promises that's made, but all of this really is just fooling the people. Also, I want to talk to you, Mr. Gowda, about the taxes that have been increased, perhaps not just only about liquor is concerned, but other things as well. What do you think that the cost of the guarantees that the Congress made when they were fighting the election is now being borne by the taxpayer in the state?
Yes, the taxes, now what will happen is the cost of living via electricity bill increasing for the industries and other things has already gone up. And they've already increased the milk. And they have milk 5 rupees per liter has been increased. Alcohol rates have gone up. Property registration value has gone up. What does all this mean? A common person, a middle class person and a lower middle class person is going to suffer even more in Siddaramaiah's regime in Karnataka. So nobody can be happy. They have to just earn and keep feeding the government. This is just like this. Somebody was saying, theft from the husband's pocket and give it to the wife. And claim to the wife that we have given you everything. Your husband has not given you anything. So this is the kind of the claims Congress is trying to do in Karnataka.
Empty claims, just trying to fool voters is the allegation the BJP makes. Mr. Gowda, thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. Let's now cut across to some more breaking news that's coming in from the state of Karnataka itself. Now, even as the assembly was in session, we are learning that there was a security breach, a security lapse that was reported from the Vidhan Soudha in Karnataka. We're now learning that a man that sat inside the assembly on the chair of a JDS MLA during the budget speech that was taking place this morning. How exactly this happened? Was it a case of mistaken identity? Was there absolutely no checks and balances, while the security of MLAs is something that should be kept in mind? Harish, my colleague, getting us more information of what exactly transpired. Harish, it's a bizarre case, isn't it? How did this happen?
Absolutely. Anybody who manages to enter Vidhan Soudha goes through at least 2 layers of security. All of us, whether it's the MLAs, the journalists, or others. But this man managed to cross both those levels of security. And there's a third level of security just at the entrance, only for MLAs. Even there, he managed to lie that he is the MLA of Mulkalmuru constituency and managed to enter even as Siddaramaiah's speech. But the speech was on. And what we do know is that he was inside the assembly for a good 10 minutes and he had met a few leaders. And finally, it was one of the JDS MLAs who asked where he was from and then raised suspicion that he had not seen this man ever on the floor of the house and alerted the marshals over there. And then he was taken outside. But it's a serious security breach, especially somebody managing to walk into the floor of the house, staying there for 10 to 15 minutes on a day as important as the budget day. Serious questions will be asked about the security at Vidhan Soudha, and perhaps there will be a few questions to the DCP in charge of Vidhan Soudha as well on how somebody who's not a MLA managed to reach there despite being 3 levels of security.
Lapses at multiple levels, they need to be probed, they need to be answered for. But for the moment, Harish, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that. We are shifting focus now to the state of Maharashtra, where the Game of Thrones continues and the total control of the NCP still hangs in the balance. Ajit Doval is now addressing a news briefing. Let's cut across.
बोलणं झालेलं आहे म्हणून त्या बॅकग्राऊंड म्हणजे आता काय झालं 2 तारखेला की वगैरे वगैरे हे सगळ्या गोष्टी परत परत रिपीट करण्याची गरज नाही. सर्वप्रथम सुरुवात अशी करतो की 30 तारखेला 30 जून 2023 या दिवशी राष्ट्रवादी काँग्रेस पक्षाचा एक महत्वाची बैठक झाली आणि त्या बैठकीमध्ये अनेक 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 लोक उपस्थित होते. ही बैठक देवगिरीला झाली आणि राष्ट्रवादी काँग्रेस पक्षाचे खूप सारे आमदार इथे उपस्थित होते. दोन्ही सदनाचे होते आणि राष्ट्रवादी काँग्रेस पक्षाचे बहुतांश पदाधिकारी होते, कार्यकर्ते होते आणि त्या 30 तारखेच्या बैठकीमध्ये सर्वांनी सर्वानुमते श्री अजित अनंतराव पवार यांना
On the 30th of June, there was a meeting that was held. There were several NCP MLAs, several office bearers of the NCP that were present for this particular meeting, where a unanimous resolution was passed that Ajit Pawar will be the elected leader of the NCP.
यांनी 2-3 प्रक्रिया ते नंतर केली. पहिली गोष्ट हे की महाराष्ट्र विधानसभेच्या अध्यक्षांना पत्राद्वारे सूचित केलं. नाही, पहिली प्रक्रिया ही होती की त्यांनी प्रफुल्ल पटेल म्हणजे मला नॅशनल वर्किंग प्रेसिडेंट म्हणून त्यांनी नियुक्त केलं आणि त्याच्यानंतर विधानसभेच्या अध्यक्षांना श्री अजित अनंतराव पवार आमचे विधिमंडळाचे नेते आहे असा माझ्याद्वारे मी त्यांना सूचित केलं. तसेच आम्ही पक्ष म्हणून श्री अनिल भाईदास पाटील यांना माझ्या सहीद्वारे त्यांना नियुक्त केलं. कंटिन्यू पण केलं, पण परत त्यांना अपॉइंट केलं. सायमल्टेनियसली आम्ही विधान परिषदेचे सभापतीला आम्ही कळवलं की श्री अमोल मिटकरी हे आमचे विधान परिषदेचे व्हीप
will be our विधानसभा सभापती.
आणि महत्वाची बाब ही आहे की आम्ही त्याच दिवशी 30 तारखेला बहुतांश म्हणजे 40च्या सगळं प्लसच आहे. आम्ही त्याच दिवशी आमदारांच्या ॲफिडेव्हिट आणि अनेक मान्यवरांच्या ॲफिडेव्हिटसह
we have taken the affidavit
इलेक्शन कमिशन ऑफ इंडिया
of
दिल्ली
MPs and MLAs
आमचा अर्ज पिटिशन अजित पवारांच्या नावाचा तिथे आम्ही दाखल केला आहे.
He submitted this
म्हणजे
affidavit to
30
the Election
तारखेपासून
Commission.
हा विषय जो आज आपण चर्चा करत आहोत ते इलेक्शन कमिशन आणि स्पीकर या दोघांच्या दारावर हा विषय आता पोहोचलेला आहे. आता महत्त्वाचं आणखीन मला हे म्हणायचं आहे.
That was the Ajit Pawar camp there addressing a news conference, even as the fight lies now at the Election Commission's door of who really is the heir of the NCP. The fight between the uncle and the nephew continues. With that, we're slipping into a quick break here on this edition. Back in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching Nation at 5 and I'm Poonam Burde. The big story and the big headline of today was the setback that came to the fore for Rahul Gandhi from the Gujarat High Court. This is his second judicial setback that has been handed out to Rahul Gandhi. His conviction stays he is going to be the Lok Sabha for a reversal of his membership. That is going to stay. That was the big verdict that came to the fore from the Gujarat High Court this afternoon. The political war of words continues. This judgment is legally wrong, is what Abhishek Manu Singhvi of the Congress party had to come out and say, to which the BJP simply responded that all Rahul Gandhi had to do was apologize and the case would have gone away. But unfortunately, he didn't do so, and now he will have to face the law. Listen in to some of those reactions.
गाली की आज़ादी नहीं हो सकती। आप जो है वो गाली के गैंगस्टर बने हुए हैं, गाली के जो है वो पूरी तरह से गोलू गवाह बने हुए हैं, तो इसलिए कानून अपना काम करेगा। और इस तरह की जो चीजें हैं वो मुझे लगता है कि जो लोग भी दोहराते हैं उनको जो है इसका सबक भी है और संदेश भी है। मैं स्पष्ट रूप से कहना चाहता हूं, किसी को भी बोलने की आज़ादी, गाली की आज़ादी नहीं हो सकती। फ्रीडम ऑफ एक्सप्रेशन का मतलब ये नहीं है कि फ्रीडम ऑफ अब्यूज।
इट इज वेरी अनफॉर्चुनेट दैट justice has not been prevailed. It is a murder of democracy. But still, the entire country, all the opposition parties and the people of this country stand by Rahulji. He is a great leader who has been fighting across the country to unite country, walking on the streets of this country, fighting against corruption, fighting against unemployment. So the BJP leaders are not able to tolerate. They want to block you from the parliament. They want him to unnecessarily create for his speech, which is nowhere heard.
I welcome the decision of the High Court of Gujarat because Rahul Gandhi done a mistake about the Modi name. Modi means it's not a just only Pradhana Mantri, Narendra Modi. So many Modis is there. Lakhs of people of, crores of people of Modi is there. So insulted entire community. That's why he facing the criminal charges against Rahul Gandhi.
So we are definitely going to protest regarding this. We want to show our solidarity with our former AICC President, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, and our leader. Okay. Basically, this shouldn't have happened at all, absolutely.
Congress leader, Shri Rahul Gandhi ji, time and again, he's been always giving defamatory statement against the leaders of our country and our Honorable Prime Minister, as well as against the country. In various foreign countries, whenever he's been visiting, inside the country and outside the country. Good that it has been rejected. His defamatory statement, culture should end.
So Rahul Gandhi has no other way than to go in appeal on the order, and you definitely succeed. These things are more politically motivated than on giving justice, you see. So I think this thing should not happen. Disqualifying and all these things. It doesn't give a good signal to the world.
Now, you heard the politics, but let's get into the nitty-gritties of what exactly the setback is. There is a 125-page order that came to the fore from the Gujarat High Court, which we've accessed here on CNN News 18. Ananya, my colleague, joining us live, getting us more details of what exactly the court observed while delivering that big blow to Rahul Gandhi. Yes, Ananya?
Well, definitely, Poonam. You know, it is a 127-page order which is right in front of us, and I'll read down the para 60, which says that the petitioner is a senior leader of the oldest political party in India with a presence and a prominent figure in the realm of Indian politics. The court goes on to say that, you know, he's somebody who's of a very, very big nature, and in fact, that is the reason why, in fact, his statements hold such a value. The court goes on to say that the petitioner is assumed to be aware the same and is, being a public personality, is vested the duty to exercise his vast power at his disposal with caution, ensuring that the dignity and reputation of the large member of the persons is in fact upheld. Further, it goes on to say that the conviction of the petitioner involves the impairment of the cherished fundamental rights to the dignity and the reputation of a large segment of the population. So basically, the court going on to say that, you know, Rahul Gandhi, being a leader, being a political leader, has a weight in his voice, and that's the reason why, in fact, this particular community has been, in fact, defamed. In fact, the court also goes on to say that the court would have taken the gravity a little lesser. If at all, it would have been only one individual. But then it is a whole community that is being defamed into this particular case. And the court also talks about the purity in politics and how Rahul Gandhi has 10 cases against him. So so this 127-page or a scathing observations coming in against Rahul Gandhi, and the only relief again available to Rahul Gandhi at this point of time is to approach the Supreme Court and seek a stay on his conviction. But whether or not that happens is something that only time can tell, and the legal strategy has already been devised by Dr. Singhvi. Poonam.
Absolutely. Rahul's conviction is just and proper. It is legal. That is what the Gujarat High Court had to say. There's absolutely no injustice done to Rahul Gandhi if that conviction is not stayed. That was one of the observations that the Gujarat High Court judge made. It was a single judge bench. The only recourse now that Rahul Gandhi has is to move the Supreme Court, something that the Congress party will be doing as confirmed by them. Let's listen into something on this big story.
राहुल गांधी ने 2019 के चुनाव में एक टिप्पणी की थी कि सारे चोरों के सरनेम मोदी क्यों होते हैं। आपको पता है कि मोदी सरनेम अधिकांश पिछड़े और अति पिछड़ी जातियों का होता है देश भर में, और ये घोर रूप से आपत्तिजनक टिप्पणी थी। कायदे के मुताबिक उनको माफ़ी मांगना चाहिए था कि स्लिप ऑफ टंग हो गया, लेकिन माफ़ी मांगना तो उनकी फितरत में नहीं है। सेशन कोर्ट ने उनको बेल तो दे दिया, लेकिन कन्विक्शन को स्टे नहीं किया। कोर्ट ने कहा है इनके खिलाफ लगभग 10 मामले चल रहे हैं, इसलिए कोई रीजनेबल ग्राउंड नहीं है स्टे करने का।
ऑफेंस का इस पूरे कार्रवाई का एक अभिन्न अंग है द्वेष, मैलिस। न इस निर्णय ने न पहले निर्णय ने किसी रूप से आपको बताया कि कैसे और कहां से द्वेष आता है। आज मैं समझता हूं एक भी मिसाल नहीं है किसी कोर्ट कचहरी की जहां पर इस प्रकार का एक जनरल वाक्य पूरे समुदाय के हर अंग को, हर व्यक्ति विशेष को लागू किया गया है। हम पूरी कानून न्याय व्यवस्था में पूरी आस्था रखते हैं और उच्चतम न्यायालय में पूरी आस्था रखते हैं।
Shifting focus now to a super exclusive that we're bringing to you here on CNN News 18, and this is as far as China's dirty tricks department goes. We're now learning that there is a new bio threat that China is developing. We're now looking at a research report that has been accessed here by CNN News 18 that goes on to talk about the new bio threat to the world that is being developed by a research organization that has full support of the CCP, which is the Communist Party of China. This research report, in fact, has been accessed by us here on CNN News 18. It is a 12-page report that we have for you, and I'll be taking you through the details of this particular report. But this is a CCP neurostrike program that aims to wreak havoc across the world, is what this particular research report goes on to say. This report goes on to talk about how they're enumerating and targeting and collapsing the Chinese Communist Party's neurostrike report. This is the research that we've accessed for you here on CNN News 18, the details of which are just trickling in. What we're learning as far as this particular report goes is this talks about neurostrike being a fundamental Chinese Communist Party focus, and how this really is unknown to many, but these details are now trickling out. It is a part of the CCP, which is the Chinese Communist Party's a standard order of battle. not an unconventional set of capabilities only to be used under extreme circumstances, but it is something that China uses on an regular basis, is what this particular report goes on to talk about. It is about bioweapons research that has now come to the fore, which again points to what China is trying to do. Remember, there have alarms that have been raised as far as coronavirus was also concerned, of how it was meant to be a biological weapon that was unleashed on the world. Now we have more details trickling in of a similar pattern that China seems to now be following. Anand Narasimhan, my colleague, joining us, getting us more details and putting this in perspective for us. Now, this report, Anand, we've accessed, goes on to again point to the dirty tricks that China has been resorting to.
The more important aspect is that this is not a disease. This is neuroscience. So they want to influence the thinking itself of an entire population. And they are using it not in extraneous circumstances, but as a regular form of their strategy. So what they are trying to do is whatever programs or platforms which are human-computer interface programs and mass apps. So they may be using any platform that has got mass application circulation, and they will use it to perhaps brainwash, influence, instigate populations and societies. And the research says that they are going to actively use it as a weapon against adversaries like the United States. There is no reason why they may not use it against adversaries like India. And this, of course, they believe, the CCP believes, is a far better technique and a far more effective technique, because you don't have to fire a single bullet and you can destroy societies, populations, or co-opt them. Now, this is also part of data colonization. So one of the aspects that data colonization talks about is that how psychologically you totally influence a particular society and a nation, yes, and or huge amounts of population, and force them to think in a particular direction, and then you ask them and get them to act the way you want them to act without controlling their landmass or territorial aggression. So this is data colonization, and the extended aspect of it is where they are using neuroscience. So it's not, and that's why it's a biothreat. It's a biothreat not because it's a disease for the body, but it's a disease or something affecting your brain, where they will absolutely scramble your brains in a particular manner, that you'll be forced to think in a particular way. A common question that those who advocates of data sovereignty and data colonization ask is that after the 62 war, there has been till Galwan 2020, there have been skirmishes, but never an open conflict to the proportion that the entire nation woke up to it, despite what happened in 86 in Sikkim. Why is it that the generation that's born in the 90s fears China? The generation that's born in the 90s in India, why does it think that China se panga nahi lena chahiye? So this is one of the aspects which they highlight, that why are their soft skills, why are their mass propaganda machineries, why are their apps and their platforms, what they are able to try and highlight or influence an entire population, 1/5 of the world's population, without picking up the cudgels against China, thought unse panga nahi lena. It all changed after Galwan, when we gave them a bloody nose. But till then, they were able to influence generations, saying that I want to learn Mandarin, I want to be like Chinese, etc., etc. Martial art forms that were practiced in India went to China, but we thought that we have to learn martial arts from them. So these aspects, this is how you try and brainwash or perhaps influence a society. Yes. Now they have advanced it to a level where they can send out triggers via the platforms after conditioning a population to a certain extent, and give them triggers which will cause strife, which will cause anarchy, or which will help them in their cause of perhaps overcoming an adversary.
And what's alarming, Anand, is that this report also goes on to talk about how this seems to be a standard procedure as far as warfare tactic of China is concerned. It's not used under extraordinary circumstances. This is something they use on a regular basis.
See, this is the aspect. There are certain which are non-proliferation, deterrence, extreme measures. We will, even the most extreme measures, nations have signed on and said they will not press the nuke button. But in this case, China is saying this is part and parcel of thing. Am I going to brainwash an entire society just because it's part of my comprehensive national action? That's the bigger challenge, because the CCP believes that's all right. If I've got to influence, intimidate, and whatever to further the cause what the CCP Mao Zedong put down in 1949, envisaging total dominance or perhaps the dominance of the Chinese authority to the time what it was 300 years ago, then we have a serious problem at hand. And that's how the CCP is currently thinking. They are shifting the dynamics. They are shifting the dynamics from territorial arsenal to playing the mind games in the literal sense.
Mind games is happening as far as China goes. Thank you, Anand, for getting us the latest on that. This is the big story that we were tracking here on CNN News 18. An exclusive scoop, if you will, of the mind games, the war games, games that in a certain dimension are being played by China, something that we now are aware of, something that we now need to be wary of as well. Patikrit Pain joining us on this broadcast for more perspective. Patikrit Pain, how do you look at this? Something like this being used as a commonplace warfare by China?
Well, I'm not surprised by it primarily because even if you look at, the future of warfare would invariably be non-contact warfare. And even though, per se, biological weapons have been de facto banned across the world, but it is highly unlikely that countries like China or many others have completely given up on it. So if you look at the future, the kind of strides China has made in the area of, telecommunication, IT, even in the area of biotechnology, it is not very surprising that in the future, whether it is virus or any kind of other neuro weapon is used, or electromagnetic impulse, pulses are used, it would not be very surprising. Even on the issue of the COVID, there is still a lot of shadow, there's a lot of haze as to where it originated, and most of the fingers still actually point towards what happened in Wuhan, and as to whether all kinds of efforts were made to actually, put it under some kind of a blanket as to whether it was genuinely a kind of a bioweapon or not. And I think it's very, very likely it was so. So if you look at the next generation of warfare, the next generation of warfare may not entirely be based on tanks and artillery. It would be something entirely different. Non-contact warfare would not just be about drones or artificial intelligence, but use of all kinds of things that would impact us neurologically. That is very much possible, especially in this era where we are totally and so much hooked on to all kind of telecommunication devices. Whether those can be used or whether any kind of other kind of intermediaries would be used for any kind of strike which would impact the nerves primarily, that cannot be ruled out. So there are dimensions of warfare which are completely changing. Today we are witnessing what is called hybrid warfare. The next generation warfare need not be a replica of what used to be in the past. So the possibility of this cannot be ruled out. One last point. Many of these major technological organizations of China, pharma organizations or organizations dealing with artificial intelligence or next generation technologies are all owned and controlled by the CCP. So the possibility of CCP and PLA actually using this in future cannot simply be ruled out, because this has been something they have been doing from 1980s in terms of developing their capacity.
Absolutely, something that they are using on a regular basis, as far as this report also goes on to highlight. Patikrit Pain, thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. This is an alarming report that we've accessed for you here on CNN News 18, but it is something that China will not get away with. India and many other countries are going to be wary of where this is going and how we can thwart it. On that note, we're slipping into a quick break. Back in just a few minutes. Welcome back. You're watching Nation at 5. And the clamour for a uniform civil code has been growing across many quarters. In fact, we had former Vice President Venkaiah Naidu too come out and say that in the absence of a UCC, there will be a hampering of social harmony of this country. It is the time for a UCC is what many have come out and now said. But the interesting bit is the politics around it. And now Pinarayi Vijayan, the Kerala Chief Minister, has put the Congress in a tight spot. Why is Congress not making its stand clear is what the Kerala Chief Minister has now come out and said. Listen in to some of those reactions.
आप सब जानते हैं कि लॉ कमीशन ने यूसीसी के सिलसिले में सभी लोगों से राय मांगी है। तो इस सिलसिले में ऑल इंडिया मुस्लिम पर्सनल लॉ बोर्ड ने एक लिंक जारी करके सबसे अपील की है कि इस सिलसिले में अपनी राय बासानी भेजें। उसी को देखते हुए जो कि जुम्मा है तो जुमे के मौके पर बड़ी तादाद में मुसलमान मस्जिदों में नमाज़ पढ़ने आते हैं। तो मस्जिदों के इमामों से अपील की है कि जुमे के खुतबे में लोगों से ये ज़रूर अपील करें कि पर्सनल लॉ बोर्ड की इस लिंक के ज़रिए से या उसके अलावा भी अपनी राय लॉ कमीशन तक यूसीसी के सिलसिले में ज़रूर पहुँचाएँ।
Pinarayi Vijayan says that the Congress stand on UCC is not clear. While there are leaders from Himachal who are in favor of UCC, but there is no stand which is clear. How do you reply to Pinarayi Vijayan?
The baseless allegation made by Honorable Chief Minister of Kerala, Pinarayi Vijayan. CPM from the beginning very favor of UCC. He, veteran leader of the CPM, Mr. EMS Namboodiripad, statement and also his article are with us. So, when he was alive he was a General Secretary of CPM All India Committee. At that time, he wrote a number of articles against this civil code. Now he only argued for the uniform civil code. He strongly argued and demanded to implement uniform civil code. There are a lot of articles in their mouthpiece, People Democracy, and also Deshabhimani Daily, and also Chinda Weekly. So, number of articles in the name of EMS Namboodiripad, and also Sushila Gopalan. So many women leaders from CPM wrote articles in their mouthpiece and also their periodicals. Now, Pinarayi Vijayan, he is blaming to Congress. Congress stand is very clear from the beginning.
Congress leader Manish Tiwari has said that Uniform Civil Code is actually a common civil code and it is antithetical to the Indian Constitution.
नहीं देखिए मनीष तिवारी क्या बोलते हैं वो एक अलग बात है। अभी तो कांग्रेस ने इस पर कोई स्टैंड ही नहीं लिया है। कांग्रेस ने ये कहा कि पहले वो ड्राफ्ट आने दीजिए तब उसके बाद उस पर विचार करेंगे। तो मुझे लगता है कि लोगों को गलतफहमी, बहुत तरह की गलतफहमी है, तो वो गलतफहमी दूर हो जाएगी जब ड्राफ्ट सामने आएगा। तो इसलिए लोग भ्रम पैदा न करें। जैसे मुस्लिम पर्सनल लॉ बोर्ड ने जिस प्रकार का बयान दिया है, प्रस्ताव दिया है, तो इसलिए मुझे लगता है कि जल्दबाजी में किसी को रिएक्ट नहीं करना चाहिए। लोगों को जो अपना सुझाव देना है वो दे लॉ कमीशन को। लॉ कमीशन की रिपोर्ट आने के बाद उनका कोई ड्राफ्ट आता है तब उस पर रिएक्ट करें तो ये ज़्यादा बेहतर होगा।
Shifting focus now to breaking news coming in from our neighborhood, which is Pakistan. Looks like former Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, could be arrested anytime soon. What we're learning from our sources within the establishment in Pakistan is that Imran Khan's arrest is likely to happen this month itself. In a few days from now is what we're learning. This could be because one of his key aides from the past, from when he was the Prime Minister, has now decided to turn approver against him. And that could be the last nail in the coffin, judicially speaking, as far as Imran Khan and the cases of corruption against him go. Abhishek, my colleague, getting us more details. Abhishek, what exactly is the new development because of which now Imran Khan has a renewed threat of being arrested?
Of course, and if his close associate or former close associate when Imran Khan was in the Prime Minister's office, if he turns approver, he can spill a lot of those who can be, which can be uncomfortable truth for Imran Khan because of there are allegations of corruption on Imran Khan. Then there is Toshtana case where Imran Khan apparently got his high precious gifts from international governments. sold in the market and the revenue generated, Imran Khan took that into his personal account and did not even declare the taxes. There are other cases of corruption also on Imran Khan, and if his close associate turns approver and tells everything threadbare to the investigative agencies, it will be yet another blow to Imran Khan defending himself as an honest and unscrupulous element in the political landscape of Pakistan.
Now, Abhishek, so far, Imran Khan has managed to get relief from multiple courts in the country. He has been out on bail. There are several cases of corruption that he faces. This all comes in the backdrop of the fact that Pakistan does have to hold elections later.
Of course, Imran Khan has been where courts have said that the investigative agencies could not provide the courts with enough evidences based on which arrest can be pronounced for Imran Khan. But if a close associate turns approval, he can have more documentary evidences against Imran Khan, and his statement may be taken as a very strong evidence of Imran Khan's alleged corruption cases of past.
Yes.
In that case, it will be very difficult for Imran Khan to defend himself. And as the election dates are appearing, about October 23 is sometimes where in the general elections in Pakistan are scheduled to be held. So, like in the next 2-3 months, it will be difficult for Imran Khan to defend himself and create an atmosphere of positivity, around his political image.
Sure. Uncertainty prevails as far as Imran Khan's career goes and as far as the political stability of Pakistan goes. But on that note, I have to wrap it up here on Nation at 5. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Good evening, hello and welcome to this very special edition of Viewpoint. Tonight we track the very